Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Scale Smart podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and also the founder of NetScale Growth. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by the CFO and the head of product of ClearBooks, David Carr. David, thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here, Jacob.
Pleasure to have you on. And David, before we get into the flow of the podcast, do you mind just telling me and also the audience a little bit of background about yourself and what your role consists of at ClearBooks?
Yeah, sure. So my name's David. I'm the CFO and head of product at ClearBooks. So we make cloud accounting and payroll software. I'm a chartered accountant. So I originally started at a Big Four practice back in New Zealand, where I'm from originally, although I live in London now. So I worked in practice helping businesses with their finances and their accounting and their tax. I then moved to a large company called Fiserv, which makes digital banking software. So I worked there. I headed up the innovation team for digital channels. So we're sort of conceptualizing new digital banking concepts and trying to bring those to market. And then I've been at ClearBooks for the last 8 years, bringing together the accounting and the technology to try to bring innovative accounting and tax solutions to help small businesses and accountants in the UK to stay compliant and to gain efficiencies and deliver better experiences for their managing their finances and better prosperity, essentially, like more free time at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Be worried about the paperwork, but instead to be working on your business, your core vocation that drives you.
And David, obviously you being involved of the finance and the scalability and also the product, you obviously have challenges and hurdles to come over when scaling a business. So what would you say were some of the challenges which you had early on and how did you overcome them? And then we also answer, what are some of the challenges you guys are seeing right now in scaling and into that next level?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're one of the smaller players. And so, being a smaller business in a pond with larger competitors with much deeper pockets, it brings different challenges. So, we need to be really resourceful. We need to be really creative. The things that we have when we're small, so our sort of agility and ability to speak really quickly to the right people in the business to make decisions quickly. Those are the things that large businesses don't have and we do. And so trying to make sure that we leverage those, bit of a corporate buzzword, leverage, but to take advantage of our position and what makes us different. And so instead of being disadvantaged by that, sort of turn that to become a tool that the larger competitors don't have access to. So that's sort of like the theme of the challenges and the and how we've sort of tackled it. How does that manifest? It manifests in having less being drowned out on PPC ads, for example, or not having the brand recognition. And so when you're talking with customers, sales prospects, communicating to them why you're different, why you're better, and rather than sort of just having a brand that kind of like rolls itself, which is maybe what the people might be used to from some of the larger competitors.
And would you say that's still some of the challenges which you guys are seeing right now? Because obviously there is some really big competitors in the space. There's QuickBooks and there's some other big names in the industry as well. Would you say that's what you guys are seeing right now, that kind of struggle of standing out with these guys because they've got just such deeper pockets than these smaller companies like yourself?
So yeah, the answer is because we've been working on how do we take advantage of our small position in our different service. We've been working on that for some time, and we're seeing some good returns from that. So there at the moment there's this change coming to the UK tax system called Making Tax Digital. So all sole traders and property. Not all of them, but over a few years, sole traders and property landlords, people with property income, are going to need to increasingly become more digital, using software to do their digital record keeping and submit their some quarterly updates and their tax return. So that is a whole new set of way of working with HMRC. It's a whole new set of requirements on businesses. There's lots of people trying to sort of understand what it means, accountants in the insurance industry and the professional bodies, and then the software companies as well, and HMRC are figuring it out as they go along as well. And so that's a very agile, dynamic environment, which we're suited for. So our team, we've got direct communication between all of us. So when something changes or something new comes out or a new opportunity comes up, or we see that a customer is asking about this particular thing, we can loop that really quickly into changing what we do with our marketing message or with our product features or whatever it is. And so far, we've seen that that's really helping us to sort of like jump ahead of the market. So, for example, for Making Tax Digital, we're in the top 4 of submissions for the whole UK, and we're not the top 4 in size or in customer base. So that's an example of sort of like one part of our business that we're not trying to compete based on the old rules. We're sort of thinking, well, what's happening now? How can we deliver the best product, the best service, and yeah, hopefully that will pay dividends.
Yeah. And you guys obviously being involved with AI within your solution as well. How do you balance innovation in that like AI driven automation with the need to remain simple and approachable to these small medium enterprises?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because there's so much talk and buzzwords and sort of distractions, I suppose, around AI as well. It's a very broad term and it means lots of different things. And so what we've done is we've sort of stuck to like first principles. Like we're trying to help record keeping be easier, understanding your finances be easier, being compliant with your tax should be easier, and it's all sort of in a digital environment. And so we've got a whole bunch of features in our software that do all of that. And we thought, well, how can we use AI and whatever pieces of it that make sense and that work to help make those things be better? So, for example, we haven't just plugged Chat GPT into the platform. Like
Mm.
that's sort of a bit of a buzz thing that you sort of see. But this question about hallucinations and data security, and there's all these risks, and especially in a financial situation, and we're registered with the FCA, and there's a higher bar sort of for us than some other, I don't know, some app to make a Instagram profile photo or whatever, right? And so we've got to think like carefully about how we do this. And so what we've done is, for example, we've got bank feeds are really popular, right? So the transactions come from the bank into the accounting software. We've got powerful features that help people, customers, our users process those bank transactions to become accounting transactions. We've had those for a long time. We're always making them better. And we thought, well, let's see how we can create a custom model that operates in our own infrastructure so we control it. We know what went into it. We can remove it if we need to. There's, the chance of the data being, breached is minimized because it's all within the existing infrastructure that we have. It's not being sent off to, OpenAI, who, a few years ago sort of didn't exist. And there's already been a few scandals of people not realizing they're sharing data, right? So we created a custom model, plugged it into our Bank Explain feature to like turbocharge the features that we already have. So we know that people are using the Bank Explain to code their transactions. So now that we can suggest the account code for them, that we've like layered that in with the rules that they have already configured in the software. So we're not sort of trying to replace anything. We're just trying to like accelerate and make it easier to do the things that we currently do. So, like we've had a few iterations of that to sort of based on customer feedback, and this bit isn't giving them this bit's worse than before. So we're like, okay, we'll dial back that, relook at it. What do we do and replace it again? So we've got several different models that we've plugged together. So we're sort of not trying to just steamroll, plug in AI. It's like, what's the problem space? How can we make that better, make it faster, and sort of like as a continuous journey go through that process. So that's how we build our software anyway. Listen to customers, what are their needs, what's the best way to deliver it, and so
Mm.
AI has given us a few different ways to continue doing that.
And you mentioned a few key things there, which goes into the next question. But I want to ask you this just so we purely focus on it in here. And with there being so many accounting platforms available, I think right now I'm using Zero, which is tied into HubDoc, and we're using a software which is called for my other business called Link My Books, which links into another software, links into Zero. There's so many different platforms out. What would you say? Because I'm interested to hear this as well from my perspective, but also so you could share from the audience. What are the core differentiators that make you, let's say, the go-to choice for these small businesses?
Yeah, so at the moment with Making Tax Digital being like the focus of the area of focus, the reality is that so there's a few to be compliant with making tax digital, you have to have digital records. You have to be able to have digital links, which means your records are connected to the next part, which is the submission to the HMRC APIs. So I know this is a bit technical, but basically all these three things have to happen. We've already got great digital record keeping, and the Bank Explain AI powered feature is a turbocharged version of that. Digital links is like embedded in our platform. We don't have sort of large companies often acquire other businesses and then they don't link properly, or they sort of get a bit, the integration's a bit funky. And so we don't have that because we don't have all these amalgamated pieces of software that are just rebranded and don't actually even work the same. And then because we've been integrating to APIs for the whole time that the business has been around. So our developers are really, really expert at that. So all these three things we're really strong at. And so that's what is functionally required with the software to be successful. So we've just jump started that. We have understood what the customer need is. And so the need is to submit the quarterly return. And so we got that live much sooner than most of the market. And then the next question is the tax return, which is all of the other like income types and your charges and deductions and things. They are all required for a product to customer to be confident the product will let them submit their tax return. And so we're ahead on all of those. So we saw this opportunity. We, leveraged the great things we've already got with our record keeping, our digital links. In fact, our team know exactly what they're doing to deliver these integrations. And so we just plowed through that work and got it live and to tell people about it. So there's a whole lot of sort of like technical aspects to this, which, the transferability to other industries or other types of business models and things. I think it's like, being an expert at what you do, understanding the customer need, and solving for that as quickly as possible. I think that's sort of the key thing that's led us to have the success that we've had with MTD so far. So yeah, I think that's an answer to your question.
Yeah. No, perfect. And David, looking into the future now for the company in terms of scaling it to that next level, what would you say are some of the goals you guys have got to scale ClearBooks to the next level?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I was actually looking at that last week. We've got so for making tax digital is the key focus for us at the moment, and there's a several years of rollout as different cohorts of businesses become mandated to comply with that legislation change. And so I've like mapped out where we've gone so far out of the total like market size, and projected what that might look like if those rates stay the same. So we've got some targets for customer acquisition, engagement rates of how active people are on their accounts. There's different steps to completing your making tax digital quarterly updates. You've got to connect to HMRC, you've got to have signed up, you've got to enter your national insurance number as well. So it's like these are the sort of the milestones. And so we're tracking these metrics to understand, well, what's the conversion rate for this? How can we get more people to enter their NI number? For example, like I don't know what mine is. I don't think anyone had memorized their national insurance number. So they've got to find it somewhere. So how do we let them type it in now or come back to it later, skip that step for now, but come back and remind them if they haven't done it yet. So to sort of just really, so in terms of like what it means next for us in the projection, it's like, well, we've broken down all the steps, the current trajectory, what are the key, conversion factors in the software and in the customer journey that need to reach certain rates in order for that to become true. So we've got like a plan. We know the work we need to do, the numbers we need to get to, we can track them as we go. And then if this week, next month, one number's more important than the other one because it's dropped down or whatever else, we like shuffle our resources around, we be agile and go and, help more people get their national insurance number in, or help more people understand how to sign up to MTD because it's a government website and all that. So whatever it is, listening to the customers, not watching what they're doing. It's not Big Brother, but tracking the metrics to know that like, are people being successful? They want to be compliant. We want to help them make that easy. So yeah, that's kind of like the roadmap or playbook is the word that people often use to sort of like to continue our current trajectory and maybe make it higher as well.
Amazing. And David, if people wanted to find out a little bit more about what you guys have got going on, where's the best place for them to reach you?
So at clearbooks.co.uk, that's our website. We have we have a free plan for making tax digital, which for businesses with simple needs, with basic needs, and so that is available for everybody. So I'd welcome anybody to check that out. Or the people are welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is David Carr. Always happy to be connected and have a chat there.
Amazing. David, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. It's been great finding out more about you, your company, what the company's got in the future, and also the making tax digital as well. It's very interesting to hear about that. So thank you for coming on and sharing that.
Thanks for having me, Jacob.
Pleasure.